And let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, which is here. If I
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, great. Thank you all for zooming in.
Chris Smith is in as well.
Okay. I don't hear him or see him.
Yeah, he's here.
Sorry, I was just getting my stuff together here. How's everyone doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, doing all right.
You just missed the Pledge of Allegiance, unless you heard us saying it.
I think I caught the tail end of it. You can
Okay.
count me in as having allegiance.
Well, okay, good. Thank you all for coming in. We did determine a quorum, so we've got an official meeting, and the approval of the minutes is the next item on the agenda. And since there was no meeting last month, we're reviewing the August 30th minutes, which I have reviewed. I don't know if anybody else has. Yes, no, hopefully you have. And if you have or haven't, do you have any comments, corrections at all? Anybody? No, I don't either. So let's entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So moved.
From Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Gavin. Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Thank you very much. That was easy.
Mr. Chairman, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do. We only need 4. And we have me, Dave, Walt, and yourself.
Got it.
Okay.
And Ryan O'Grady is actually on here as well.
Ryan, actually, he gets the,
I'm present. I'm listening.
he gets the effort award for tonight because he's at dinner. Looks like at a restaurant someplace, and he's called in. So, and Dan Knutson may or may not join. I didn't get any note from him that he wasn't, so I'm expecting he'll come in. But anyway, let's go to the any communications, external communications to the commission. Dan Bombero, do you know if any?
No, none that I'm aware of.
Okay, then nor am I. So then under old business, item 6, A, energy efficiency projects. Well, Dan Knutson would talk about item number 1. So item number 2 is the year 5 annual M&V report. Now that's been submitted a couple of months ago. Dan Bombero, you were going to circulate that?
Yes, Mr. I believe you sent it to the group here.
Yeah, I read it a couple of months ago, and I took some notes. I can't find the notes, but I guess.
Okay, I guess I forgot that I had sent it out. So last month, Dan, you had indicated that, let's see, the town personnel would be reviewing it. Do you have any feedback at all from either George or Rich Clevet, or did
We have yet to convene on that to this point. I'll certainly provide comments as they become available.
Okay. All right.
It's kind of interesting after I read it, though. I guess through the original negotiations, we picked out 10 buildings for tabulating the scoring of the how it's scored, whether they met the criteria or not. And I guess that's okay because it was a negotiated number. I think they're mostly school buildings, maybe town hall and the library are in there. But of course, there's a lot of buildings that are not included in the calculation as to whether they met their goal of saving X dollars. And I think X dollars is kind of like $600,000 a year in savings versus the original energy goals versus those 10 buildings, which is okay. Of course, we have about 15 other buildings or so that of varying sizes, but I mean, those are the rules. So.
So did those 10 buildings pass?
I think they did in this report, yes. I think we did save that $600,000 to $700,000 or 6 to 700. Well, actually, it is a dollar amount, and but it's based on energy consumption, and of course that's escalated or as far as rising energy costs and stuff like that.
Was there any decrease in energy consumption due to the virus?
I think there was at some of the school buildings. A notable exception maybe is Highland, which is actually is it now almost a fully air-conditioned building versus most of the other ones, and so their actual energy usage has increased quite a bit from an electricity viewpoint. Even though it was an electric building at one time, we converted it to boilers, but we do keep that energy, that AC going all summer, I guess, and so we still are using quite a bit of electricity there. I think maybe it's one of those areas that we maybe have to address somehow with cogen or more solar or something like that.
So Dan Bombero, can you comment on or elaborate on the guarantee? Is it a guaranteed energy savings or a guaranteed dollar savings?
I believe it's in a term of energy consumption. It's not in a dollar amount because to Dave's point, the cost of electricity and
Right.
such change.
Yeah,
Therefore, it's based on the actual the energy itself.
Yeah, so it equated to $600,000 or $700,000, but it's really stated in BTU savings or kilowatt hour savings or gallons of oil or CCF of natural gas. I don't know if it's all converted. Is it all converted to BTUs? Do you know?
It's either BTUs or therms.
Okay, all right. So was there any adjustment taken for the impact of the pandemic?
I'm not aware of whether or not there was an adjustment taken.
I think it was mentioned in the report, Rich. I can't quite recall what the effect was, or the positive or negative, or
Okay, so
obviously, I think in some of the schools we used, that were shut down, we were using less energy.
right. Well, nobody really knows what's going to happen in the future, and so now we're 6 years or 5 years into the future from when that project was started. So, they make their best guess. They assume a certain amount of changes, I guess, in the occupancy or whatever. But and it's all adjusted for weather, whatever. But the report has value if it's reviewed by the town, the client, let's say. And it's got no value if nobody's looking at it and making any comments. So hopefully, Dan, you can get us some feedback from the town side and from the school side.
We'd certainly, to Dave's, point, he did review it. We'd be certainly happy to take comments from the commission
Okay.
and help them guide us towards our review.
Okay. Good.
I think if you look at the project as as a payback type of issue, it's probably going to pay back in 10 years. If because I think it was like close to what $10-12 million.
Yeah, 10.1, I believe.
Right, and we got some nice incentive back from Eversource and maybe other grants, and that's a pretty good. If you get a project that's going to pay back in 8 or 10 years, for a municipality, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, of course, looking forward, everything we've done, particularly with conversions, even we've done additional stuff which I guess helps that also, like more LED lighting programs that the BOE has conducted post Amoresco, and I think
Yeah.
they've all contributed to the savings also.
Yeah, those additional projects have made it easier to make the guaranteed savings, right?
Yeah, and of course, price of gas it's starting to go up now, but it's had a net.
But I was kind of pushing the energy audits
Recording in progress.
to anybody that I talked to, and I did get feedback from I Heart My Home that they've already had some people sign up. So it's kind of early, but maybe next meeting I'll have some numbers on how many people did.
Okay, Chris, did you get down there to help Dan or?
No, I wasn't able to. My wife was on a business trip last week.
Okay, so yeah, I drove by there later in the afternoon. It was all cleaned up. So you shut it down at what time?
I think it was 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think it went 10 to 3.
So how many people do you think you actually had contact with?
I had long conversations with about a dozen.
Okay.
So.
And did you meet anybody who had already done a HES audit?
Yes. Yeah, if they had done one recently, I didn't pressure them to do one again.
Okay.
But it had been, and some of them said 8 years and said might be worthwhile.
Any feedback from the people who had them done as to what their impression was of the program, or are they saving energy, money?
Yeah. I think a couple weren't real impressed, but I'm sure it saved them some. What was kind of troubling to me was a couple of people were at they're at a sustainability fair, and they told me that their house was too drafty to do this. I did my best to convince them to do it, but they're like, oh, I can change my authentic windows and this kind of thing. I don't know.
You mean like they have a historic house and they don't want to put in? What do you think about that, Walt?
Yeah.
I think that when it was historic, they have to use anthracite coal, shovel it every morning to really get the full effect of being in the historic house.
You should have been there.
What do you think, Walt, about,
Yeah.
there's got to be insulation measures and things that you could do to prevent drafty windows and doors. Is that?
Well, there's lots of things you can do, but whenever we get involved with trying to make a historical building energy efficient, you run into a lot of problems because, for example, people love to have exposed brick on the inside of their house. So, you really can't have brick on the inside and the outside because it's a thermal bridge, but for some reason, historic houses, people think that's a great thing. So they like to do stuff like that. And it gets hard. So you have to be willing to do it. I mean, it is possible, but it takes effort.
Okay, so it was lightly attended, and you talked to a dozen people, and do you think it was worthwhile? If it was another one held next year, would you go to it again?
Yeah, because I think, you might talk to more people at the Cheshire Fall Festival, but these are people that were more receptive.
Yeah, because it was a narrower focus, and these are people who are already environmentally aware of things, or they're in favor of sustainability and that sort of thing.
And if they do it again next year, I would anticipate it being a little bigger.
Okay.
How many people were aware that the town had an energy commission, you think?
Oh yeah, not that many.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
So
that's
that was-
unfortunate. Yeah.
that was good.
That's unfortunate. I don't know what we could do. I suppose we could put more reach out information on that website. Walt, you keep mentioning the website, the Cheshire Forum, go into the Cheshire Herald or the Record Journal,
Yeah.
but we need somebody to write something. And who's our secretary?
I'm not sure we have one. I think maybe if we try to see what other towns that are what we consider as successful with the Energy Commission, there are, like West Haven or West Hartford and some of the, Fairfield and some of the other towns that seem to somehow push it more or have more people aware of it.
Yeah, Dan Knudsen, you're on that Google group distribution, aren't you? Connecticut Clean Energy, Connecticut Energy
Wow.
Efficiency. Are you?
Yeah, I
can't
was
be-
for, well, I'm not, I haven't been lately. I got kicked off somehow. But
Okay, here's what I'll do. I'll
I'm on the
volunteer.
Cheshire Forum
I'm gonna-
if you need anything posted or.
No, not the forum, not the forum, not the forum. There's a Google group that I'm on, and so are, I don't know, seems like hundreds of other people.
it's
And
statewide.
they're all task force people. So I can reach out to somebody. Maybe Dan, you could throw out a name right now, but maybe of the people that
Recording
are
in
on that
progress.
distribution and ask them, how do they get the word out that they exist and the good things that they're doing for their communities? So I'll do that. Okay, so let's go on to the Cheshire Community Pool. We've been talking about it for the last few months, that we were waiting for reports from Aegis. And Dan, you were going to follow up with that.
Yep, I did get an anomaly.
Recording in progress.
Program there online, to which I did reach out to Sheila at the pool, and I actually sought some recent Eversource bills to kind of see what they read, if they concurred with what he had noticed. I don't think we're fully at a full understanding of why we're seeing negative consumption there. Aegis Energy doesn't believe that we should be there with the production versus the previous use at the pool. Sheila was able to speak to the fact that in and around the time that they started noticing the negative consumption at the pool, they did replace the circulator pumps for the water, as well as the UV system at the pool. But again, I have to seek some specifications on those to see in and around what the expected consumption monthly for those units should be. So we are back up and running where we had been down with the unit. The last month in itself speaks to what it is capable of doing when it is running as it's supposed to be.
So
How did
is
they
anybody?
bill
Go
What was
ahead.
that?
How would they have billed us if we're getting negative consumption?
We only, for Eversource, we still get charged certain other fees associated. We do get an invoice even on credits.
Yeah.
And the credits, those invoices are for other transmission charges and such of the nature. So the bill does show that there was both the usage, the purchase side, and then what the sales side was from the town to Eversource as a point there. But again, we're not fully expecting that these are correct
Yeah,
numbers.
it's some kind of an anomaly. I did a quick calculation today, and that cogeneration unit's using about 2,800 CCF of natural gas, and we're getting at about 62 cents CCF, which is quite a savings. You get a better rate, and it's 62 cents to the CCF versus normally it's about 85 to $1 a CCF depending on volume. And with that, we're generating about 20,000 kilowatt hours at about 8.5 cents a kilowatt hour, which is pretty good versus the 14, 15, 16 cents normally. And we're also, as a co-product, getting about enough heat to heat the water in the pool. So we're getting about 50% of the electricity used by the pool from the cogen unit and enough heat to heat the water in the pool, which net is still on track if we keep it this.
I just want to make the
Recording in
20,000
progress.
kilowatt hours at 8 cents a kilowatt hour.
8.7.
Yeah, and that's because the gas to make the kilowatt hours is costing,
62 cents CCF.
how much does it cost per kilowatt hour?
Well, I just divided the total cost of the gas in the amount of kilowatt hours generated, and that
So what-
comes to 8.7 cents.
So it costs 8.7 cents per kilowatt hour for the gas.
No, it costs 62 cents per, oh,
No,
yeah,
no.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah.
it's 8.7 cents per kilowatt hour for the gas costs, but it would have cost, hey, looks like grandpa. And it would have cost, you say 17 cents a kilowatt hour, or how much?
Well, you know, the rate we pay for electricity is probably around 15, 16 cents, right?
Okay, so say 15 cents. So you're basically saving 6 cents a kilowatt hour.
Yeah, you're probably saving almost all of the delivery costs. You know, like on my bill now, I think 60% of my bill is delivery costs. So
Right,
it's
so-
basically we're generating our own electricity, eliminating the delivery cost and paying for it in natural gas usage.
Yeah, I get all that.
We
I'm trying
get
to
it
get
at
to,
cheap
I'm trying to
rate.
get to the bottom line. Are we saving approximately $1,200 a month?
Probably, I'd have to calculate that.
Well, okay, so 20,000 kilowatt hours are produced,
Yeah,
therefore not imported from the grid. So they're produced on site. In order to make 20,000 kilowatt hours, you have to consume 2,800 cubic feet of 100 cubic feet of natural gas,
right.
which has a cost to it, right? And you say you computed all it out and it came out to like 8.7 cents a kilowatt hour
Right,
to produce it on site using
Right.
natural gas. If you didn't do that, you'd have to pay 15 cents a kilowatt hour from the grid. So you're basically saving 6 cents a kilowatt hour. I'm just rounding up. Let's say,
more like 8 or 9 cents, I think.
well, no, you said that it costs 8.7 cents worth of gas. So let's call that 9 cents. So it costs 9 cents to make it and 15 cents to buy it. So therefore you're saving 6 cents. I mean, I'm just rounding off the numbers. Okay, so you're saving 6 cents a kilowatt hour times 20,000 kilowatt hours, which is how much? It's 0.06 times 20,000. That's $1,200 a month.
And then what's the cost of heating the water that we're getting in
There you
addition
go.
to that? Because there's extra savings.
Right.
I-
You haven't,
You know, what the proposal they said we were gonna save about $36,000 a year. So it's got to be more than that 1,200 if you net everything into that.
well, it's good. It takes a lot to get from 1,200 to, what's 30,
You're looking for like another 12 grand.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're missing
So
something.
if the heating $12,000 for a full year, that seems actually kind of low, honestly. It's a lot of water to heat.
Yeah, it is.
But you don't save all of the heating, the water heating cost, do you?
Well, the one I don't have it factored in here is how much the other gas bill has been reduced. And that makes up that difference for the most part.
Okay, all right, I don't want to get bogged.
If you look at, the, say like during the winter, we use about, I don't know, 45,000 cubic feet. And after the cogen unit goes in, I think that dropped from about 40,000 to 26,000. So that's the heat. That was the heat that was taken to heat the water. A lot of water there.
Yeah, 600,000 gallons, but
Yeah.
would you be able to, David, would you be able to, for next month's meeting, put together an economic analysis? Never mind, I know that they said that they were going to save 35,000 a year, but could you do some calculations and give us a better idea of what we're actually saving per year?
Yeah, I can do that.
For next month.
It may be even correct.
Was that?
No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, the stuff I'm telling you right now is the gas we paid for going into that unit cost us 62 cents. And okay, so that generating about 20,000 kilowatt hours. And if I divide that, 62 into the electricity consumption, it comes out to about 8.7 cents.
Yeah, let's call it 9 cents.
I can break it down.
Yeah.
The
It's
one you
costing
have-
9 cents to make it and 15 cents avoided cost to buy it. So you're saving 6 cents per kilowatt hour, right? I mean,
Yeah,
okay, 20,000 kilowatt hours at 6 cents a kilowatt hour savings is, what did I say, $1,200. But Ryan is correct by saying that we're also able to recover some of the heat, maybe all of it, I don't know, but at least there's heat recovery involved. It's not part of this little calculation we just did. And that goes to heat the pool water. But you can't heat all the pool water with the recovered heat, can you?
I think we're just about doing that.
All right. So do you have that as a separate calculation? The
We
600,
don't. All that we can assume is what we used to pay our overall gas bill for the water and the buildings
Oh.
versus what we're paying for the overall bill now. And that's been reduced. I'm just guessing
okay, well,
about 40,000 to 26,000
Yeah.
CCF a month. During the winter, it
if
varies.
you could agree at this point to try to put something together, and then, you and I can talk about it between now and then. And it would be helpful, I think, to know what the result of the project was. It
Yeah,
was supposed to save 35,000, but is
Right.
it? Maybe it's saving 85,000.
right now, I haven't
Yeah.
received an Aegis report in probably the last year, so I think
Well,
those
Dan just
reports,
got what he said, right?
I think they refer to some of the savings features in the report rather than just give us, I don't know, what are they giving us, Dan?
What they gave me was just a running spreadsheet, for the whole month, showing the production numbers on a daily basis, how many
Okay.
hours run, how much production in that given day.
So it's specifically for that unit, it doesn't factor in the overall gas savings
Correct.
of both. And then
No, it's strictly the report that they provided as of today, is strictly looking at the production and the kilowatt hours.
yeah, I'll prepare something that makes a little more sense.
Okay, and so Dan got a report from Aegis today, sounds like, and you didn't, Dave?
Yeah, I haven't gotten reports so I'm not sure.
I could forward it to you, Dave.
Forward it
I
to
have been in
Dave.
contact with them on other matters that
Okay.
relate to the cogen, so
Okay,
I can forward you what they sent me today, and I can ask for them, to send me, this past
Okay.
year's worth of reports for your review.
okay, all right, thank you. Let's move along to benchmarking. Chris Smith is back on, so did you ever get the, for, under the benchmarking B1, the data input for the gas, for the oil and for the,
Yes, so I have those on, and then Dan Bombero, thank you for the info. The oil's on. There are about half a dozen entries that I just need some clarity on because I can't figure out where they are, and I might not have access to them. The 5 bay and 8 bay, Dan Bumper, can you enlighten me as to where that is in portfolio?
Those are at the Public Works garage.
So I only saw one entry, so I'll have to go back and look at that then, because I made notes. There's probably about half a dozen of those that I have to input from what I have. But other than that, everything is updated. Fire department, there was a Public Works garage entry, but not separate ones that I could tell for 5 and 8. But
Those should all be under the same address. We could look at the best way to log those. I wouldn't expect to create a separate account. It's just the delivery location specific on that address.
got it. And then lastly, once I got in the groove of doing this, it's not terrible. It goes pretty quickly. And I have, Dan, I think I have data that goes until, looks like I'm missing the last like 14 months worth of data, because I had mine through early 2020 through mid 2020.
Okay, we could look at the last date there, and I could have somebody in the office.
Yeah, I think it's June 4th, 2020. And so if somebody has a sheet, you could just email me a PDF or Excel or whatever, and I can get the rest of them updated. I think you said they were also on a few month delay, right? Like we don't get them until.
Yeah, I expect, like I said, is if we do it more on a quarterly basis, you can expect too is we're going to see it slow down considerably. Most of those sites, come April, your use over the April to really this point is going to be nominal. So I don't expect that we've had honestly any fills, only as of recently possibly.
Yeah, so I think probably I just need like the fall 2020 through June of this year, and we should.
Yeah, I probably have that. It just might have not gotten in that package that I sent you.
Okay. Let's pause. All right, so sometime soon, it sounds that the database will be completely up to date, right? I mean, by hook or by crook, you're going to get all that data in there, and then what? And then what happens?
Well, I think, and then we have a full list, and I think that would kind of support a number of things, including, I know Dave Gavin was looking at the report for potential ideas. I think we collectively are looking at, opportunities for where we have the most bang for our buck. And I think once we get all that updated, I think it's a matter of, having a couple of us play with that data, export it, take a look. And once it's in Excel, you can easily sort by cost. You can sort by, having explored this, it's a pretty powerful tool, which, I always knew, but now that I'm doing it, I can see it.
So then shortly, once everything is done with the database, David, are you still on board to working with Chris and looking at possible new opportunities in town?
Yeah, we're
because this has been a standing item here for a number of months, and
right.
I think this is a great tool. There's no question about it, but it's only as good as.
Yeah, I think we can
how we can use it.
prioritize. I think the opportunities that are going to lie in solar, and maybe more ground-mounted solar versus carports, which have that additional capital cost associated with it. I think we have to take a relook at some of the roofs in our municipal buildings. We included a lot of them because of the weight, but I think the overall weight of these units has decreased somewhat. So maybe we have to relook at some of our buildings. Of course, we're talking about a whole bunch of, maybe not a whole bunch.
Yeah, the experts though, and maybe Ryan is one of them, but they say don't do any solar projects until you have it at first made your facility as efficient as possible, right? So the portfolio manager will point you towards the facilities in town, municipal and school side, that are less efficient than they could be or should be compared to what other people are doing in the country that have similar demographics and weather and all that, right? You would agree, right, Chris, that you don't go and put solar on the roof of an inefficient building because that's not the way it works.
Well, I suppose it's not the
view-
way it works, but I think it also depends on, what's the energy source you're replacing and what you're using it for, right? I mean, I think that if you're generating, you're still saving money. I think it's a matter of magnitude. But again, I'm not an energy expert like some other folks are on here, but I think there's still value in looking at it. My thought on it too was looking at kind of what seems to be the hot ticket item nowadays in energy and renewables are the fleets. And I know we touched on that last time, potentially looking at the senior center, transportation options. I think we contract for most of our school buses, right?
Datco, yeah.
So that's not really in our jurisdiction necessarily, but I do think that there's some opportunities, not just for the town, but I think across the country, we're looking at, electric vehicles is getting a lot of attention, probably more so over the last few months since gas prices are going up. I still think that's an opportunity, both from Cheshire municipal standpoint, but also potentially service to our citizens and our businesses in town. I did a quick look at where we might have some charging stations. Doesn't look like we have too many, and there's probably opportunities to explore some of that as well. Even though that's not necessarily making our buildings more efficient, it's still part of an energy infrastructure.
Correct. But the portfolio manager is looking at energy efficiency primarily, energy consumption or BTUs per square foot or whatever the final metric.
Right. I'm sorry, I moved on to item 2. I was kind of taking them both together here under the.
Right. So in my mind, once this portfolio manager is up to date, and like you said earlier, you've exported it to Excel spreadsheets or whatever, and you're able to now sort and analyze, the more efficient, you separate the more efficient buildings from the less efficient, whatever. And I guess you would go after the less efficient, provided that they were not, pump stations or whatever. That you need to have enough of a usage to make it worthwhile to pursue energy projects, right?
Yeah.
But what I was saying is, maybe I didn't make myself clear, is that generally speaking, and Eversource would endorse this statement, I'm sure, that before you would actually look for more efficient ways to serve a building with energy, you need to make that building as energy efficient as possible within the confines of cost effectiveness and all that. So
you were definitely clear, and I agree, because that's kind of, I guess what I'm saying is that looking at, I think there would be cost savings no matter what, but I think it's a matter of kind of the apples to apples discussion, right? If we're looking at a terribly inefficient building and we're looking at the metrics of that usage, it's probably skewed compared to a building that is very energy efficient. So that might actually tip the scales if we were comparing apples to apples. That's how I understand that.
right now, I'm sure that there are buildings in town that energy efficiency is one thing and energy waste is another, right? There's probably some facilities that are just wasting energy. I've got I don't know why. I don't know if you can read this. Can you read that? Does that come through?
Yeah.
Am I upside down?
No, you're good.
What does that say?
Nothing is less productive than to make more efficient what should not be done at all.
Like the concession stand at the Bartlett, we're still paying about that. I don't know, $1,500, $2,000 a month for whatever we're putting into that electricity wise and heat wise or whatever.
Were you talking about at Bartlett?
Yeah. Like, we
Or
haven't used that in 5 years, I don't think.
Okay, all right, so,
I mean, things
So-
like that, and I think a lot of it's gonna come as more efficient or better control of these buildings as far as heating cycle, cooling cycle, time on, time off, shutting this down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah, and that kind of goes to the, something that shouldn't be done at all, or wasting energy, heating up a space, and or let's say not setting the temperature back when it ought to be, or forward, let's say in the summertime when it ought to be, and just wasting BTUs. There's nobody there. That's waste. So putting a solar system on a roof and providing a less costly, or maybe essentially a free source of energy doesn't make any sense, because you're wasting it. So stop the waste, get rid of the waste first, then look at efficient technologies. Like, I mean, the simplest and probably best example is LED technology versus any other lighting at this point in time. LED is so much more efficient. I mean, leaps and bounds over incandescent or compact fluorescent or whatever. That, of course, it's expensive. I mean, but the costs will keep coming down. You can buy an LED light bulb now for what, $1, a couple dollars, and they last 15 years. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer. So change the lighting to LED. Turn off the lights when you're not using them, which is waste. Anyway, there's no point in going much further on that. Let's go into well, I guess publicity, item C, but we don't have anybody who's following up on news articles and letters to the editor. Dan Bombero, you'd be the closest one to that. I have not seen anything in the media about that. All right, clean energy. Opportunities for additional solar carports. We talked about that. We said last month, and it's true, I guess, that I don't know how long it's going to be true, the cost of the steel structure that supports the solar panels is out of sight and is making the project not cost effective. How long is that going to be true? So, I mean,
Only time will tell, I suppose.
okay, so then a crazy question: can we make the frame out of aluminum? Is aluminum less expensive?
That would be for a design engineer, structural engineer.
Yeah.
I'd expect that at this point, if that was something that could be entertained, it would have been entertained, whether it's just as costly or not feasible in a sense of increased size.
I'm only, that's sort of like a tongue-in-cheek comment, but there's got to be some alternative to steel, no? Wood. How about we make them out of wood?
I think
Make a house out of wood. Why can't you make a support for a solar panel out of wood?
you could, but all construction materials have had a lot of inflation over the last year. Or insurance supply. I mean, you can't get truss. You have to order your cabinets as soon as you pour your foundation. They're not going to be there in time.
That'll all end.
Really
Yes, that the system will take care of that eventually.
Right.
Okay, so no solar panels in the immediate future. I have not. I apologize. I have not contacted Jim Jinks, who is the guy that on the planning committee that I had conversations about for this solar map program. But you all know that we failed to submit on time in June, and somebody knows more than I do about the second round coming up early next year. Did Dan Knutson or Chris Smith?
That was not me, but I think in following some of the emails, I think we missed the boat on, oh, it was Dan Knutson. I think you were the one who sent that around. And I think we had like only a day or two to get it in. But I think Dan Bombero, you jumped in saying that there was probably opportunities for round 2 on that.
And Dave had mirrored that. Or Dan, sorry.
I've
All these-
also, yeah.
All
I
these
did
things
give it-
have to be approved by the town council, any grants or requests. for
Correct.
grants, that's a 1-month procedure almost, right there.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Yeah, I heard that if anything, those grants are gonna be more robust next year, so.
okay, so,
So,
Excuse me, you're talking about the grants for the home energy solution?
no, I'm talking, oh, they may be, but I'm talking about the next phase of the solar
Oh,
municipal assistance program, the MAP.
Right.
We missed the boat in June
That's
because we
with
couldn't
the-
get town council approval in time. And to be fair to them, we submitted it too late, but no, we didn't submit it too late, but when we submitted to the town council, they turned around and gave it to their planning committee to take a look at it the day before the bid was due. They didn't have enough time to look at it. And then somebody came back and said, oh, okay, well, there's going to be another round. I think maybe Emily Bash.
Emily, yeah, from the Green Bank.
Yeah, and she said, don't worry about it. There's another one coming in January. It's going to be an improved version of it anyway. So our delay.
My comment was there was a town employee, I think it was Cisco, who was in charge of acquiring grants or submitting grants.
That's for another. That's a different subject. Dave. You're right. You did make that comment, but that was in connection with Dan Knutson's idea to apply for the some kind of a special incentive program. Dan, help me out, but there was.
It's a grant to increase the home energy solution outreach in the town.
Right, and Dan Bombero came back and said, yeah, that's going to be the new the
Economic Development Coordinator and
Economic,
Grant
yeah.
Writer, yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
that looked like a great program. Again, that falls into that same category where it has to be presented. Just like any opportunity for the town to go out for these solar programs. It's something, again, that would have to be presented as an opportunity to the town council. They'd have to take action on it. And in the action, they would allow the town manager the opportunity to enter into these contracts and submit the actual grant itself. So the process is such that it does take some time just to get through and get the approval necessary. And matter of keeping their ears to the ground on when these things become available, keeping in contact with Dan, maybe the Green Bank, and just keeping the paths of contact open and looking at these.
Let's get it on record who the Economic Development Coordinator is now that we're going to ask to help get this grant.
Andrew Martelli.
Andrew Martelli. Is he a full-time employee?
He is.
All right, so Mr.
How does-
Martelli, who
Can I ask a
is
question?
wait, let me finish. Mr. Martelli then is the individual that we should be reaching out to once we've decided what we want to do for this grant. And Dan Knutson, you're the guy that's spearheading this, right? Do you know Andrew Martelli?
I was when I spoke before, I was talking about the home energy solution, but it seems like as far as the Green Bank, we should be getting back in touch with Emily if January is the next round. That's coming up.
No. We keep going back and forth. Yeah. Dave's talking about the resident grant person who's Andrew Martelli, who would have had to submit a grant proposal for your program that you were not the Green Bank, but the thing that the Eversource special incentives for reaching out for the HES audits, right?
Yeah, Rich, he's gonna have to do the same thing for both of them.
I know that, but let's get it straight. We got two different things going on here. I don't know how we got we got two things. We got the Dan Knutson special grant that had to be submitted by October 1st for from Eversource, money to help promote the HES audits, right? Is that essentially what it is? And then we got we got the solar MAP, solar map program, which we failed to get submitted in time in June, but it may be coming back in January. And that's also a Dan Martelli thing. I mean, it's just, that's the second one. And you're right, Dave. He would have to, well, no, maybe not.
That one in specific, that one would be a matter of the Energy Commission presenting to
Right.
the town
Right.
council the opportunity and
Correct.
asking that they allow the town manager to enter into an agreement in that sense.
Correct. And
That's either working directly with the Green Bank as it's proposed, or the other opportunity would be getting the applying for him on the town's
Right.
own and then putting it out to bid.
Right, and that is something that we would be working, or I can take up with Emily Basham, give some more information about the second round, when it's coming. I'll talk to Jim Jinks if he's still a counselor after next week or the week after, and see if he or somebody else on the planning committee, if they change the membership of the planning committee, can help us move that recommendation to the full town council, so that we have plenty of time to get the application in through the Green Bank for the next round.
I think with that, it would probably behoove us to reach out to as many town councilors as we have relationships with, and then somebody to speak at the next town council meeting, maybe.
Yeah. Chris.
What, this, as we're talking about this, I think that this is occurring to me as we're talking about these different opportunities and the fear of missing the boat and the turnaround time with town council. I think we should probably nominate somebody from this commission to put together kind of like a Gantt chart of what opportunities are out there. I think it's a matter of probably going through our emails, but we have the solar map, all these things we're talking about, plus other opportunities, round 2 of VW settlement. There's a whole bunch of things that would require, we can't just turn this around in a month. So I'm wondering if it makes sense to have somebody on this commission. I'm happy to, work with somebody on it too, compiling all of this stuff and then submitting to, Ann and Dan for each meeting to have as part of our agenda, or we circulate it separately. Here are the items that we need to be thinking about. This one would be due in June 2022. This one is due in August 2022. And that way it kind of keeps us organized on this, so we're not playing catch up.
Sure. Do you have a program that develops a Gantt chart? Do you have software that does it?
I mean, I probably just do it right in Excel, but.
Yeah, you could. All right, well, if you're willing to participate, I can also, I can help. I can't take it on as a lead role, but I can certainly support you.
Yeah, why don't I just volunteer to do that? So if folks have, I know Dan Knudsen, you had a couple of things on your kind of radar. And I know Dan Bombero, you sent me some stuff on the VW, which I think we were a little bit behind on. So I think we were waiting on round 2 for that. Anybody who has that stuff, just data dump it to me in email and I'll start building out a sheet so that we can keep track of it.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, on that HES grant, I'll call it the HES grant. How did we find out about that? I mean, how does Eversource communicate that to?
I found out about it through my contact at I Heart My Home, and but it's probably, I mean, there is a page on a web page on the Eversource program where it was one of the links that I sent around where you can read about it. So they are putting it out there, but that's how I heard about it.
Yeah, I mean, when I used to be in that industry 6 years ago, I used to know about those things because they were talked about. Now that I'm not in that section anymore, there's got to be a better way to get that information so we're prepared. I mean, so
Yeah.
So there's a web page out there where they announce these someplace.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have I don't know if I sent this email out or not to you guys, but if I did, it wouldn't have been until late this afternoon. But it is a webinar. And
I
it's
didn't get an
called
email.
Connecticut Residential Renewable Energy Solutions Webinar. Did I send that out?
No.
I did not receive that, Rich. No.
Okay, so I need to add this, I think, under new business, all right? So I don't know where Paul Michalowski would sit on this, but I need to make a motion. He didn't like chairman making motions, but how else is it going to get on there? I need to put under new business, Connecticut Residential Renewable Energy Solutions Webinars. Ann, do you have that? Or I can email this to you if you need me to after the meeting. But there are going to be, let me just read the intro. It says, United Illuminating and Eversource are preparing to launch residential renewable energy solutions on January 1st, 2022. As the successor to the current residential net metering program in Connecticut Green Bank's RSIP, whatever the heck that stands for. So these webinars are going to introduce this new program. The first one is Tuesday, November 2nd. And I'll send this out and you can register for it if you're interested and able to attend. But provides a program overview, allows time for questions and answers. Topics include the background, customer eligibility, incentive structures, processes, fees, metering, whatever. It sounds like something that we ought to know something about so that we can maybe take it to our constituents, which is the town of Cheshire residents, public. Do I have to ask your permission to add this? I'm asking, is it
You have
okay
to
if I add?
second the motion.
Yeah, okay, I made the motion. Anybody gonna second it?
I will. Ryan O'Grady will second.
Okay, and is there, I don't know if further discussion is warranted, but if there is, now's the time. Is there any, okay, so all in favor of at least getting this on the agenda? Aye, hopefully. All we can say is, and there's not gonna be decisions taken on this, but I'm gonna send out this email that I got late this afternoon. You can take a look at it. If you're able to attend the webinar, it's free. You can attend it, get some information on this new program, but it kind of is in line with what Chris was just mentioning, is that there is a new program coming out January of 22. And if we want to participate in it at all, or at least be knowledgeable so that we can introduce it to residents of Cheshire, the webinar is coming up next week. So good. All right. It's sort of towards the end of the meeting here. There are any other PBC projects, Dan Bombero, that we should be aware of?
Nothing new to report at this time. They did start the police department project.
They did? Okay.
Yep, in the demolition phase at this point.
Right. Did you send out the plans and specs for us to look at?
For the Quinnipiac bathroom, no, I apologize. I'll send those out tomorrow.
Yeah, you should do that. Dave Gavin is usually pretty good at looking at those. And did he freeze again?
No, I'm
Did you fall asleep?
just trying to be quiet.
Okay. But Dave, once when Dan sends out the plans and specs for that police department renovation, take a look at it and see.
The police department, you've already commented on. The one that
yeah.
was on the table was the Quinnipiac bathroom project. It's a
okay.
renovation to the existing facilities.
Yeah, no, yeah.
It's not as extravagant as the police department.
But
That's
still,
the feedback from the PVC on our comments was that, one of our comments was that I sort of recommended they have a professional A&E company help manage the program. And their response was it wasn't enough money to require that. Although I've seen the town lose a lot of money on cheaper. I think that was what, a $2 or $3 million project, the police department?
Police department, the total appropriation available funding, I believe, was 1.8 million between two referendum items.
Yeah.
That's a total available. That wasn't the awarded contract.
You know, they used to have this thing called the something of works, the agent of works or something that was.
Clerk of the works.
Yeah, that would help manage a proposal. We ended up actually hiring a company to help manage the construction of the new pool covering or building. And it probably cost us 150, 200,000. It probably saved us in the long run a couple $1 million, because that thing would have been, I think, a disaster if it wasn't managed. You know.
Okay, all right, well, point
But
well
anyway,
taken.
looking forward, if you get an expensive project, I think we should get
So
people.
then at what
I mean,
cost do you
Dan's
think?
got
at what-
enough on his plate. He can't manage every single project that gonna come up as far as the nuts and bolts things, like the composition of the ground that they're putting the building on and stuff like that.
Well, in the case of the police department project, the design, the architect of record, along with the structural engineer of record, and other third parties are involved for both inspections of structural steel. There's a firm involved for the inspection of the concrete work that's being performed, and the architect reviews and approves all of the materials being used.
Yeah,
But Dave,
I
what
understand
minimum,
that. The architect is being paid by the guy that's building the thing.
No,
Dave-
it's being paid by the town.
Oh, is it?
let me
Yes, correct.
pause. What, David, what would you recommend be the minimum project size where an owner's representative might be useful?
3 million.
3?
Yeah.
Well, Public Building Commission is rejecting a 1.8. I mean, at some point, you're right. I mean, somebody's got to decide. Who decides? Is it public under? I mean, it's certainly not. It's probably something that we.
I guess if the architect is employed by the town of Cheshire, he in essence will have to be the project manager to make sure everything is done on time and cost flows are all correct and what
Dan
have.
Bombero, is there a policy? Does the town of Cheshire have a policy where a certain project size, once you reach a certain dollar limit, you have to have a project manager or engineer of record? Or
I don't know that there's anything on the file, as it were, to that regard. I know that a larger project, they might entertain it. I think the recommendation would come from the Public Building Commission to the town council or something of that nature, or the town council might opt for it on their own.
Okay, all right. In any event, it looks like it's out of our purview. And we can make a suggestion, but we're not going to make the decision whether there is or isn't such an entity, right? Okay, we got to move along. We're going to skip over F. What about, is there any update on any tree trimming going on in town?
I have no formal update. I will say that I was down on the Reservoir Broad Swamp area within the last 3 weeks, and they were actually doing a lot of work actually on Broad Swamp, taking down a considerable amount of overgrowth.
Yeah. Have we had any windstorms in recently where tree
No
limbs
large impact. No
Yeah.
large impact stuff recently.
Okay.
They were working on my street a week ago.
Yeah. Okay. And then I think under new business, under the sustainability fair, Dan has already given us a recap. So with that, is there anything else that anybody wants to add or ask? No? Dave?
Chris,
You all
did you
set?
have something?
Who?
On the coalition on item H?
No, anything else to add to tonight's discussion?
Oh, no, not to tonight's, I'm sorry.
Dan, did you think he had something to add?
Oh, I thought he mentioned that he wanted to bring up an opportunity, but
No, I think that was more broadly on the benchmarking stuff and potentially looking at the fleet opportunities. Hey, do we have anything, this is more of a question, and as I've been on for not quite a year. Have we in the past done anything that was kind of forward thinking in terms of like an energy plan? I know some of the reports that we review are kind of like how are current things performing. Did we ever as a commission kind of pursue crafting like kind of an energy strategy that kind of goes out a few years? And if not, maybe that's something we can add to a future agenda to talk about.
Well, yes, sort of. There is an energy policy that we put together and gave it to the town manager at the time, which is Michael Milome, for inclusion in something that he was putting together. And I'm going to say that it had to be at least 10 years ago, and I'll pull it up. I'll find it and I'll send it to you, Chris, and you can take a look at it.
Thanks.
Okay. All right.
Well, we had goals for the town of what, 20% savings by the year, whatever, 2000
Yeah,
or something like that.
yeah.
I think we met those.
I wouldn't be surprised. That one performance contract probably
Yeah.
took care of it all. Okay, so can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting? From Chris Smith and seconded by
Ryan O'Grady.
Ryan O'Grady again. You're still with us, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I'm been here.
How's that dessert?
I'm back home now.
Oh, yeah.
I left before dessert.
Okay. All right, so any further discussion on adjournment? No. Thank you very much for attending. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. See you next month. Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Bye.